I had a 30-day leave and I had something else. So I had about, I don't know, it seemed like I had like more than a month. And so, hey, great, nice vacation, for a guy in the military, it's nice to get all that. And so we drove down to the Bay Area, basically just to kill time until such time as I was going to report for duty. But through this whole period, I was, each step kind of made me want to read more, and I started reading philosophy and, books. I was reading and studying and trying to kind of refine my thinking, because this whole process had shaken me up enough to where, and I had step by step kind of moved, and I got down there, and we barely got into the Bay Area. We drove into Berkeley. Didn't have any place to stay. We just found an abandoned building to crash in, and Jesus, the first thing we saw was like a demonstration, and the cops were like beating up the demonstrators, and it was like, whoa, this is America. I'd been raised to believe this was the land of the free, and we had rights, and all those kind of stories. My father used to regale me with stories about America, and all of our rights, and how good we were that we didn't have the knock in the night like they did in Russia, or in Nazi Germany, or which of course these days is their preferred time to arrest people, is nighttime. It's kind of amazing when I think about how I was raised and kind of the mythology I had about America and what our current reality is. It's such a shocking difference. But at any rate, I've been raised on all that, we're America and we have freedoms and that kind of thing. And so I was startled, to see the demonstrators. I mean, I was kind of impressed that there was demonstrators and that they were they were so brave, but at the same time I was like just shocked that there was an outrage. Well, at any rate, we ended up getting a place to stay in Berkeley, and it wasn't any time at all before we kind of connected with the movement, and I continued to study and think and all that stuff, and I found out that there was two types of conscientious objectors. There was the kind that refused to carry a gun, and there was the other kind that just won't be in the service at all. And I was kind of, I was still planning to go to Vietnam. We were just waiting out my vacation really until I go to Vietnam. But there was, there was all these demonstrations, and I started going to the demonstrations as a medic for the demonstrators. And I got quite radicalized very quickly, and at a certain point I decided, I'm not going to go to Vietnam. It's wrong. I'm not going to go. Why? It's that individuals against the crimes of silence business. You don't. If I go to Vietnam, I'm supporting the war effort, and I shouldn't do it. Because we shouldn't be there in the first place. And if the solution, if you're doing something wrong, is to knock it off, not to support it in some way. And so I decided I wasn't going to go to Vietnam. And so my plan then was to refuse to get on the plane, because I had heard that people did that. And this is 1968, which was quite a year of upheaval. And I had kind of fallen in with the radical crowd and demonstrators and anti-war activists and other AWOL soldiers and various people. And there was, finally I talked to a lawyer. Somebody turned me on to a lawyer, and I talked to a lawyer, and he said, and he was a lawyer who ultimately ended up being my lawyer when I finally had to go to court for mutiny. And he said, the last guy that I defended went up to get on the plane, and he refused to get on the plane, and they just grabbed him and put him in handcuffs and threw him on the plane anyway. And once you're in Vietnam, there's not a whole lot of lawyers going to do to help you, man. They're going to put you out in a unit and tell the other guys in that unit that you won't cover their back, and they're going to not like you, and you're going to be in kind of an isolated situation. And so rethink that. Don't use that particular tactic, because that one isn't working right now. He says, how about if you just go AWOL? The problem for a soldier is that if you're on the rolls, if you're supposed to report and go to Vietnam in this case, if you show up, they send you to the unit that you're supposed to be in, which would be somebody in Vietnam, and then they process whatever, or punish you, or process you, or whatever. And nobody, except for that unit, will even take a conscience objector application and stuff. And you know, it's kind of, being in Vietnam is kind of the wrong place to be filing for your application to be a conscience objector. So he says, you know, go AWOL. And if you're gone for 45 days, you'll be dropped from the rolls, and then you'll be put in a holding company somewhere, and you'll have a chance to file to be a conscience objector, and I'll help you do a proper one this time, and maybe we can get you out. I said, okay.